There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint Farms.
Hey everybody, it's Eric here at Farpoint Farms in the mountains of North Carolina. Tonight, I wanted to show you this. This is a Mrcartool brake fluid bleeder. It's an automatic bleeder, or semi-automatic I should say. What's a brake bleeder, you might ask? Well, here's the way I've been doing brake bleeding here at the house for the last, 20 years. Go ahead and pump it up.
Holding.
Pump it up.
Holding.
Pump it up. And so you can see the obvious problem is I'm a one-man show, and needing to have a helper means that there have been many times here at the shop where bleeding brakes with just one person around is a bit of a hassle. Although you can do what's called a gravity bleed, it usually does not do a very good job, especially on more modern ABS brake systems. So here we go. Mrcartool reached out to me and said, would you be interested in using our new 12 and 120 volt brake bleeding system? And I was like, oh yeah, you betcha. It's the F118. I'm going to go ahead and box it with you, and we'll go ahead and do that right now. Of course, I'll leave a link to where you can find this. It does come with a variety of bleeders up here on the top, and so you can get kits to add even more of these, but here's just a sampling of the different sizes that they have here. And there's a master kit that you can also get. Like I said, it includes pretty much every car make and model that's out there. So there you go, to give you an idea the models that it does come with. Hopefully it fits the car that we have tonight. I didn't get the additional kit. I'm going to, but I didn't get it yet. Here's our power pack for it. So this is 100 volt AC, 12 volt out. So you can do this off of the car battery, which is the way I normally do it. But if you have a hybrid or full electric that you can't plug into a regular conventional 12 volt easily, well, you can use a 120 outlet as well. The main unit is a fairly large. I'll pull that out. And we got some additional stuff here. Looks like I dropped one thing on the ground. Yep, and there we go. Wow, nice compact unit for what it is. And so here we go. Let's go through this. So we do have our pressure. Now, generally speaking, I never bring it above, 10, 15 PSI when I use a professional bleeder at work. And we have standard mode and fast mode. I imagine that it's going to push more fluid through at a faster rate. The last thing you want to do while bleeding brakes is cause another failure. And it does happen, especially with the pump method. Pumping up the brakes, you're putting a lot of pressure repeatedly on the brakes, kind of like duplicating emergency stops. And so it's not unusual to have a line blowout, which is added expense for yourself and time, obviously, because you're not going to pass that along to the customer. But this has two modes. If you want to go in a fast mode, you certainly can. And that's interesting there. So we have a start and a stop switch, power, and a green light for working. So pretty nice. And these are, hopefully I'll get closer. Hopefully you can hear that. That clicking sound is a pretty positive sound there to let you know. Oh boy, I got stuff all over the place. On the side here, you can see we have a place to bundle up our brake bleeder, and this is going to be a quick connect, it looks like. I'm going to have to hook that up. That's going to be here. One end will go to the fittings that you have. The other end goes to the machine. On the back, I believe this is our reservoir. Going to fill that up. I haven't looked at the manual on this yet, but 99.9% of the cars that I work on are .3 or .4. Those two are compatible. If you're going to be using this with .5 fluid, you better read the manual. I'm fairly certain it's probably compatible, but just be sure on that. We do have a fuse right there. We do have our master on-off switch back here, and we do have our plug-in for either 12 or 120 volt with an inverter. This side, we don't have anything going on, so that's kind of cool. All right, let's take a look at the accessories. It does come with a plug-in cord for European 220 or 240, I guess they have. But here for the US, we'll be using this. This is interesting. So this is, you don't want to make a mess, right? So when bleeding brakes, I usually wheel my oil bucket around to all the positions, but this gives me an opportunity to not do that. So you would hook this up. I kind of like this actually. This is kind of a cool idea. I might use this. You hook this up, this fitting right here goes over the brake bleeder screw, and you can hang this off of the rim or off the tire. So as it bleeds, the brake fluid is going to be bled into this waste bucket. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. I like that. I really do like that. So set that aside. Oh, what else we got here? Here's our power connections, and this would be if we're going to hook it directly to the vehicle, which in most cases we will be. So we have a nice strong plus and minus and a barrel connector at the other end there. That'll probably be dangling off of this in the next time you see it. And then we do have a manual here, so let me go ahead and do the manual, and then we'll pull my wife's car in. It's got 25,000 miles. I usually try to do brake flushes on all my cars every 30, so it's close enough. We'll fill it up with brake fluid. Thank you for your support, it says. This product has passed rigorous inspection and has reached company quality standards. I will say, just from looking at it, there is some brake fluid here, so clearly it was tested at the factory, which is nice to know that they're doing a little quality control. The F118 and function and principle, let's see, brake fluid machine. Brake fluid is drawn in the fresh bottle by a cylinder. Same things we just went over. It does talk about the adapter. So adapter number 2 covers Hyundai, Subaru, Renault, Mitsubishi series. Good, so hopefully that'll be the one, number 2 for us. We're going to be doing a Mitsubishi today. Number 3 is for Buick business class. Number 5 is for Hondas. Number 6 is Toyotas. Number 7, Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep. And number 10 is Nissan. So if your car, well, number 1 I skipped over, fits a lot. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, Volvo, Land Rover, Jaguar, Porsche, Buick, Ford, Chevrolet, Peugeot, Chevy. The list goes on and on. So if you're not listed, if you have an unusual vehicle, you might want to check on their website and make sure that it will fit without getting the adapters. But for the most part, it looks like these cover the vast majority of units out there. So here's what happens next. I pause the camera, I fill this thing up with .4 brake fluid, I think is what we bought for it. And I hook this thing up. My wife's car's getting an oil change, tire rotation, and brake bleed. And I will pull the wheels off and we will get this done. So stick around, let's do it right now. All right, so we've got the Mirage in the garage. Yeah, it kind of rhymes. And you can see I've got my fitting that said it was for Mirage, and guess what? It's perfect for the Mirage, so that's awesome. We lucked out on that, I have Volvos, I have Toyotas, and I have Mitsubishis, and apparently I'm going to have fittings for all of them, so that really is kind of nice. Now I'm going to install that. Hopefully you can see right there. I've just screwed it back on like you would the cap. Now I'm going to place the tank below here. We're going to have that running up with the hoses, and I'm going to put a rag over this because as we lift and lower vehicles, you're likely to cause some scratching. The other way you could do this would be to lay the unit up on top here. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to leave the unit on the ground just so I can monitor things since it's the first time we're using this particular tool. Let's do it. I'm going to bleed the air out of this by just letting it run, and you'll get a chance to see how the flow is.
There it goes.
Okay, once the brake fluid comes out, we're going to unhook that. Now we've got all the air out of the system. I'll go ahead and hook this up. You want to hold that for a sec? I'll go ahead and hook this back up. Be mindful now, brake fluid will wreck a paint job in a hurry. So you want to make sure that everything's attached properly. The way that this thing goes on, there's an O-ring in here. So you first screw it on and then you tighten this upper piece down. That locks, hopefully, it from leaking. We're about to find out. We're going to hook that back up. We're ready to raise our car and do our brake flush. Let's do it. Okay, so we've got, just for the sake of filming this, I'm doing this out of order. Normally, if you're going to bleed brakes, unless otherwise listed by the manufacturer, you start with the right rear, passenger rear, move to the driver's rear, passenger front, and then driver's front. Mitsubishi, for reasons unknown to Mitsubishi, they actually have you do passenger rear, driver's front, driver's rear, passenger front, so this would be the last one. But for demonstration purposes, I got a lot of stuff going on inside the shop right now. Now I'll show you this one here out of the 4 that I'm going to be doing today. We'll go ahead and remove our bleeder screw. If I can get it off, there we go. And we will crack our brake bleeder line right here. And once we've got that open, I'm going to put it on standard mode. And I'm going to hit start. It's probably going to come out kind of, yeah. There she goes, starts to bleed pretty good. Hopefully you can see that. I'll zoom in on it with the camera after the fact. And then when you're done, you just go ahead and you can see pretty good flow, I'd say. Close that up. Now, generally speaking, hit stop button on that. Generally speaking, about 30 seconds on each wheel is enough to push the fluid through the brake system. So that's what I'm going to do here. I won't do it on camera because, yeah, it's pretty much the same. But that's it. That is the Mrcartool F118 brake fluid bleeder. It's the one-man show, and even though I got Jen with me here today, if I'm doing this for customers during the weekday, it sure is a lot easier than gravity bleeding or trying to reverse bleed one. That just doesn't work very well. So this is a really cool professional level tool that they sent my way. I'll leave a link to where you can get this, of course, and thanks to Mrcartool for helping me out with that. Appreciate it. Till next time, my friends, take care.